Today we're here at the Pearl S. Buck home. It's a Green Hills farm. Also now it has become the Pearl S. Buck Foundation. We're at the historic marker here for this Heroines of Hometown History series number 4. Author of over 300 books and other published works, she strove for better understanding between peoples. Her novel, The Good Earth, was awarded a Pulitzer Prize in 1932. Her epic portrayals of Chinese farm life helped win her the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1938. Following her many years in China, she lived after 1934 here at the Green Hills Farm, and it later became home to the Pearl S. Buck Foundation. She lived from 1892 to 1973. So we're going to talk more in depth about her, because it's semi a historic marker based. It's a viewer submitted video by Colleen of Colleen Unvarnished, and but primarily this is a Heroines of Hometown History series. Thanks everybody. Today we're talking about the life of Pearl S. Buck and her legacy. She was born June 26, 1892, and died March 6, 1973. She's also known by her Chinese name, Cai Zhenzu, and I do apologize if I butchered that. She was an American writer and novelist, best known for The Good Earth. That was the best-selling novel in the United States from 1931 to 1932. It won the Pulitzer Prize in 1932. And in 1938, Pearl S. Buck won the Nobel Prize in Literature for her rich and truly epic descriptions of peasant life in China, and for her masterpieces, 2 memoir biographies of her missionary parents. She was the first American woman to win that prize. She was born in Hillsborough, West Virginia, and then she died in Danby, Vermont. Where she's buried is that Green Hills farm, which we're going to later in this video go around and check out in, I believe it's Perkissey. I'm probably saying that wrong, Pennsylvania. She was a writer teacher, went to Cornell University and Randolph College. The Chinese name that she had, its literal meaning is Precious Pearl Cai. She was born in West Virginia, but when she was only 4 months old, her parents took her to China as their missionaries. And she actually went back later as a missionary herself. She spent most of her life before 1934 in, I believe I'm pronouncing this right, Zhenjiang with her parents, and then in Nanjing with her first husband. She served as a Presbyterian missionary, but she came to doubt the need for foreign missions. Her views became controversial during the fundamentalist modernist controversy, leading to her resignation. And then she returned to the United States in 1935, and she married publisher Richard J. Walsh and continued writing prolifically. She became an activist and prominent advocate for the rights of women and racial equality, and she wrote widely of the Chinese and Asian cultures. She became particularly well known for her efforts on behalf of Asian and mixed-race adoptions. She was originally not planning on becoming a missionary, but when her father wrote her in 1914 that her mother had become seriously ill, Pearl returned to China, and she wound out marrying agricultural economist missionary John Losing Buck. They moved to the Su Anhu province, a small town on the Hui River. I'm probably butchering these things pretty bad, but this is the region that she describes in her books, The Good Earth and Sons. So a lot of, her writing came from direct experience of being in China and actually knowing the people, seeing everything that she wrote about was her life experience. A lot of times you have that sometimes, and then sometimes you don't, but the really good books, the ones that really stand the test of time, like The Good Earth, they come from experience, life experience, seeing the joys and the sorrows of these people, their everyday struggles. In the 1920s, it was a real rough period for her. A lot of tragedies and dislocations. There was a lot of things going on in China politically at that time. Also, her mother died in 1924. So this was a period of time where she really experienced life at its worst. Eventually, by 1935, when she sort of had, didn't see the point of what they were doing and decided to wind up resigning because of the controversy that came with it. An interesting tidbit, Pearl S. Buck divorced her first husband in Reno, Nevada on June 11th, 1935, and she wound up marrying Richard Walsh that same day. He offered her advice and affection, which her biographer concludes helped make Pearl's prodigious activity possible. The couple lived in Pennsylvania until his death in 1960. Following the Communist Revolution in 1949, Pearl Buck was repeatedly refused all attempts to return to her beloved China. Her 1962 novel, Satan Never Sleeps, described the communist tyranny in China. During the Cultural Revolution, Buck, as a preeminent American writer of Chinese village life, was denounced as an American cultural imperialist. Buck was heartbroken when she was prevented from visiting China with Richard Nixon in 1972. Some of the causes that she took up were a range of issues that were largely ignored by her generation. Many of her life experiences and political views are described in her novels, short stories, and fiction. And the biographies of her parents entitled Fighting Angel, which was on Absalom, her father, and The Exile on Carrie, her mother. She wrote on diverse subjects including women's rights, Asian cultures, immigration, adoption, missionary work, war, the atomic bomb, and violence. Long before it was fashionable or politically safe to do so, considered to do so. She challenged the American public by raising consciousness on topics such as racism, sex discrimination, and the plight of Asian war children. She combined the careers of wife, mother, author, editor, international spokesperson, and political activist. Sadly, Pearl S. Buck died of lung cancer on March 6, 1973. There was a contesting of the will and accused Harris of exerting undue influence on Buck during her final few years. Harris failed to appear at trial, and the court ruled in the family's favor. I guess Harris was somebody that was involved with her life, but she was interred at Green Hills Farm in Perkasie, Pennsylvania. She designed her own tombstone. Her name was not inscribed in English on her tombstone. Instead, the grave marker is inscribed with Chinese characters, representing the name of Pearl Seidenstricker. She truly is an extraordinary woman, and obviously her heart was in China. She loved the Asian people. She loved China in particular, and that's really where her heart was. I mean, she spent her young life, really a lot of ways that's her defining years, and it defined her, and she valued that extraordinarily. Her legacy cannot be contested, from The Good Earth to all the other books that she wrote to the causes she fought for. Pearl S. Buck was certainly a heroine of hometown history, an extraordinary woman who fought for those that could not fight for themselves, and that was one of her main tenets in life. So her life is one that should be celebrated. Extraordinary woman. I have to say, I own the book The Good Earth. I've never read it, which I plan on reading it now. I really did not know anything about her, and going through this process is a really cool process of getting to know who this individual was and what they stood for, and everything else beyond that. So with that, I want to say thank you for coming along. We will have the historic marker next that will read that off where the Pearl S. Buck Foundation is, her home, and where she's buried. And then we'll also go on that really cool tour. Pictures, some of them you can see really well, some of them you can't, but thanks to Colleen of Colleen Unvarnished for taking care of taking all those pictures for us so that we could visit this great place and learn more about this extraordinary woman. Thank you, everybody. Today we're at the Pearl S. Buck House. She was the author of The Good Earth. This is her home and now serves as a museum to her life and her legacy as a writer. And she did many other things. I was very involved with education, won the Nobel Peace Prize. So it's a pretty neat little tour that we're going to be able to take here. I have some music over it, so you just sort of go through. These pictures are all thanks to the trip that Colleen of Colleen Unvarnished made to Pearl S. Buck's home, and she graciously gave us these pictures so we could experience this place and how neat it is and the history that goes with it. So I hope you all enjoy this. Thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed this pictorial tour. Thanks to Colleen of Colleen Unvarnished for sending the pictures so we could go through this property. Thank you.